Real leadership isn't about titles. It's about the work it takes to earn your place. Showing up, staying when it's uncomfortable, doing the work long before anyone notices. Pull up a chair. This is A Seat at the Table with Melinda Brandt and Ashley Stroud.
Welcome, everyone. Ashley, good to see you again.
So nice to be back in the studio with you, Melinda. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, our third episode at A Seat at the Table. Each month, we're sitting down with leaders who have taken the long road, the ones who have built, have grown, earned their place through resilience, discipline, and showing up. And today's guest, you know a thing or two about standing out. Please welcome Rachel B. Lee, branding strategist, LinkedIn top voice, co-owner of Standout Authority, co-founder of Humanize, and we're going to get into all of this, the marketing part of it, brand strategy. You have worked on some big campaigns. You know a thing or two about branding, and we want to delve into all of it. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you're here, and as always, we like to kind of delve into the why. How did you get here? What started you on your journey for even getting into marketing or branding? What started that for you?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for speaking at a Longhorn Business
Networking event. Yeah.
Networking event.
That's where I first heard you speak.
It shows the power of putting yourself out there. And I have to say, I've kind of been this Ladyboss since I was a kid.
I love that you refer to yourself that way.
A Ladyboss, branding Ladyboss. That's part of how I coined myself. To be fair, I got that name while I was at Microsoft. And, I'd be at working with the Microsoft partners, which did happen to be a lot of guys. And I remember one of my girlfriends saying Ladyboss. And I was like, I love that. So I started to say, hey, I'm a Ladyboss to the partners. And then it stuck.
Wildfire.
It was just like, oh, there's Ladyboss, because I was running the social media for all of Microsoft Inspire, 17,000 people there. I mean, multi-million-dollar event. And at that event in 2017, I achieved over 1 billion impressions. It was the most at the time.
Wow.
So I kind of got that Ladyboss status for a reason. But all that to be said, I think that's part of who I am. I've always been somebody that's very ambitious and very driven. I grew up in California, and it's funny. I recently tomorrow I'm guest lecturing with the marketing students at McCombs. I did it a couple weeks ago as well. And I was at my parents' home a while ago. We were looking at old, the stuff under the bed. And my mom's like, you got to get rid of this stuff, And I found this paper that I had written to myself of who I'm going to be. Aww. And I was probably like 13, 14 years old. It said I would be married by 26 with like 2 kids. Josh, my husband, family's didn't make it. It wasn't quite there, okay? But I did get married, and I do have actually 3 kids now. And it said I was going to be editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine. I loved reading Cosmo and all of that. And I thought that I would go into journalism, which is why it's so fun sitting here in this news radio room. It just feels so aligned when I think about following my passion, following my skills, following my expertise, which is what great branding does. It comes from a place of authenticity, but true connection to what you're really good at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And here, so it feels very full circle. And my manifestation of that was going into business school and undergrad. I worked for an amazing company called Walton Isaacson. I was working on the agency side, Unilever. So I got into the CPG. I always say I was into Axe body spray.
Yeah.
I did that reference in lecturing to the students. I was like, double pits to fisty, you know what I mean? And double pits to chesty. And they all looked at me like this. I was like, guys, do we know what that is? Have I totally outdated myself?
Oh, no.
The college students.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, we've seen that.
Sure.
Yeah. I was like, oh, God, totally.
That's so funny.
But that's how I started. And, coming to Austin was for the MBA, which was such an incredible experience, which then shifted my career to go into the B2B side at Microsoft and giant multi-billion, trillion-dollar company enterprise, and did that for at Microsoft and Gartner. Big corporate branding, big corporate marketing. And so that's just a little bit of how I got to who I am. And I think what makes me me is people are people. And a great marketer, a great branding, communications, a great business owner, a great founder understands who is the person I'm serving. Really, who exactly are they? What's the value that I bring? And how can I uniquely connect to that person on the other side? And that's what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
So how did that transform from you to doing this for a big company like Microsoft and then saying, you know what, I want to do this for me. I want to brand myself to others to be able to show them the best way for them to market themselves?
It came from feeling it inside myself. I've had the great fortune of working at some of the best companies in the world and having some of the best managers in the world and learning from the best of the best. And in that journey, for me, I felt like I still couldn't be the full expression of who I am. And many people that are listening today, and many of the people that I call my family, my community that follow me, have felt that same knowing inside that who I am professionally, and I'm putting up quotes, and who I feel personally are very different. And I couldn't take that anymore, that tension, And I knew that if I was feeling like that, other people were feeling like that too. And it took me taking a really giant leap since 2021 when I left Gartner, and it was by choice, to join forces with my husband, Joshua Beatley, who founded Standout Authority. And I knew that I wanted to help other people feel confident in their voice in such a way that they are unapologetically themselves and that they're also able to make an impact. And to me, and what we believe today and why YOUmanize was founded is we think the most powerful marketing you could do today is the humans behind the business. When they're empowered, when they're confident in their story and what they're achieving at the company, and you actually activate those voices, no marketing is comparable.
Yeah. I really think it's interesting. It sounds like you were super successful in the realm that you were in. You were boss lady or lady boss, right? So was there like a precise moment where you said, okay, success is one thing, but alignment is something completely different? Was there one precise moment, or was it just like a culmination of everything that kind of led you to be like, no, I would take alignment, starting over fresh, having to prove myself in a whole new environment, that means more to me than all these accolades and success that I'm currently having. Because I think that's a lot of women find themselves, climbing this corporate chain where they're, all measures of success. We would look at them and say, wow, like they're amazing. They're doing great things, but there's a misalignment there.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like for you?
It was a feeling of being on the floor in the bathroom, waking up on Monday, crying, my husband looking at me and saying, babe, like this isn't worth it, right?
Yeah.
And feeling anxious. And there's just your body, especially as women, when we actually are in tune, we're so intuitive, we're so connected, but we ignore it. And that's why so many women right now are suffering and so many are burned out, especially because most of us are caretakers in one way or another as well.
Right.
And it's really difficult to recognize that misalignment because we start to say, oh, well, I should be feeling like this. Like it's supposed to suck.
This is the hustle. This is
yeah,
the
this
grind.
Is the hustle. This is what it takes. We got to break the glass ceiling, right? And like all of that was true because that's what I've been doing my whole life.
Right.
And yet here I was still with the 2 degrees, and being at the best companies and like getting great reviews and working with, and still I was feeling like that. At that point, something's very off. And so it took that plus having great people around me and, particularly my husband, who is the veteran serial kind of entrepreneur, and he was just like, there's another way than this.
Yeah.
And being exposed, actually at the time, also while this all marinated in me, COVID was happening. And so all of us are at home,
finding new normals.
Yeah. Like we had the kid. So I have 2 stepkids. They're, homeschool. You have kid.
Yeah.
I mean, so all of us are like, what the heck am I doing? So it was like that. And do you remember Clubhouse? Do you remember that app that was kind of popping at the time? Did you ever?
I'm not familiar with it.
What? Give me it spark my memory because
it was audio. It was the beginning of audio rooms.
Okay, well, I want you to hold that thought because I want to get back to it, but we have to take a quick break. We're sitting here at a seat at the table with Rachel B. Lee, and we're going to talk about what it really takes to stand out, not just in your career, but as we're hearing, to stand out in who you are. So stay here with a seat at the table.
This is A Seat at the Table, where we talk about the work, the grit, and the moments that changed everything. Pull up a chair. The conversation continues.
And that is a conversation with Rachel B. Lee. She is the co-founder of Humanize, the co-owner of Standout Authority. And I do want to get into both of those and the difference between being a co-owner and a co-founder. I think that's important to distinguish between. But before we went to the break, you were telling us maybe that defining moment where you realized corporate world wasn't suiting you anymore and you made that decision to branch out into entrepreneurship. Do you want to finish telling us that story?
Yeah, I was mentioning Clubhouse only because when that app happened, we were all at home and it provided this immediate ability to be on stage. It was like a audio stage. And it was like the universe said, Rachel, you need to put your voice out there. And I remember hiking and I was so nervous. I raised my hand. There's hundreds of people in this room and I shared something and I got really amazing feedback. And so it was this moment, and this is what happens. The universe is crazy. As you start to move forward in the direction where you're feeling more aligned to what you're actually meant to do, things start happening and moving. And so as I started to put my voice out there more people wanted to hear. I started to grow a following. I started to feel like, wait a minute, I can do this. Josh and I sat down and we said, what's the plan? I remember I was working with an incredible woman, Julie Riesler, who is my life coach. And we thought it would be 2 or 3 years. We thought that would be the plan from when I left. And as soon as I started to think about what it could look like, it happened within 5 months from that January of thinking, and I left Gartner in June. And so when you get to decide and you realize that maybe there's something else for me, I don't know what it is, and you feel it, you know it. We all know the feeling. As soon as you make that decision to go after it, you don't need to know the direction. I'm in this position right now again. As the co-founder of Humanize, talk about that. I'm starting to raise capital for that. We're building an intelligence platform. There's most things I don't know the answer to. But as I continue to take these steps, more things keep unfolding.
Yeah. Doors they will open, right? You just have to walk through them. You have to be willing to look for the opportunities and walk through open doors and then look for the next open door. I've felt that same exact way too.
And you need people to help you open those doors because this is a seat at the table. And I'm very fortunate to us 3, right, to be here. And it's a lot of men and allies and supporters that help us get there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am. I know that.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
let's
that
delve
power of connection.
into that part a bit. Once you made the decision, what was that first step? I'm going to guess just from what you said that Standout Authority was where you first originally went.
Yes.
And that was with your husband. How did starting all of that evolve?
Yeah, so I was doing some of this on the side, actually. I had been talking to Josh and So it was kind of a side hustle. And I actually think for a lot of people, that's something I would strongly recommend, right? If you're into something, but you have a job, go test it out, right? Do it on your, free time. Oh, I don't have free time. Make it. If you're going to make this your new career, you're going to need to try it out, and make a plan against that. Okay, I'm giving myself 6 months. Here's my leave date, right? Like very thoughtful. And also the financial aspect of it. Both Josh and I are now two entrepreneurs, right? There's no
Safety net.
Especially when you've got 3 kids at home too. Huh?
Right. Like health insurance,
right.
Which is the whole other thing, when you're a business
simple
owner.
Things like when you go to apply for a home loan and you're like, wait, neither one of us have a W-2. This is not good, right? Things like that. Things that you don't expect to have. The struggles that you do when you're both dual entrepreneurs in that field. It can hit. Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
It is.
Yeah. So, I don't think any of us should do this blindly.
But good advice.
But like you said, there are so many people willing to mentor you, to help. There's groups that plenty of resources out there to help guide people along the way and make good informed decisions.
And was that part of the journey, plugging into the networks in order to see maybe how do you lay out a plan, how you move forward with that, how you move forward your business?
100%. I think I decided to shift my career into entrepreneurial business ownership after over a decade of working as an employee. And I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I wouldn't have, some people say, don't go to higher education, right? There's a lot of conversation around that. And I disagree, right? I do think that higher education needs quite a bit of an evolution in the teaching, but the value of the network is completely priceless. And so because I waited and had a lot of reps as a business woman, it made for me that transition a lot easier. Not easy, easier.
A little more seamless.
Yeah. And I have my husband who founded the business and had already so much to share and so much to teach me. It was Josh, like in the beginning, I wanted to always do everything perfectly. We created this whole course, and I spent over $10,000 getting a film crew, and it all looked great and everything and perfectly planned, but it didn't necessarily have that many sales, right? And when you're an entrepreneur, especially in the economy and how we are today, you literally have to be doing 5 things at once. You're building the product, you're getting users on, you're doing all of it's happening simultaneously, and you have to be shifting and adapting so fast to keep up right now.
So how long did you and your husband do Standout Authority before you decided to branch out a little bit more with Humanize?
Yeah, so he founded it in 2014, Standout Authority, and the entire focus has been around humanizing incredible established leaders, business owners, and executives, humanizing those voices inside companies or as their own business. We were talking about this outside.
Yeah, she was coaching me out in the foyer. Like just already, she asked me a question. I was like, wait, you're coaching me. This is great. I should be paying for this.
Yeah. And our focus has been the thought leaders. How do we create thought leaders, not influencers? How do we have people, very established individuals, and use those voices as the strongest way to market? What we realized in the journey, so it's been 5 years since I've officially left corporate to be doing this. What we realized last year, Josh and I were doing our own leadership offsite in San Diego, left the kids. And I don't know if you know Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He has a book recently. It says 2X is easier than 10X.
Yep. Good book.
Yep. And he, in that book, and we've heard him speak, we know him, he said it's easier, literally, I know the title, but instead of saying when you go to business planning, it's like, hey, we want to double our revenue. That way of thinking isn't going to take you everywhere. You need to say, if we're at $1 million revenue, how do we get to $100 million? And so we said to ourselves, what does a $100 million company look like? And as we thought about that and had our handy dandy friend ChatGPT to be our researcher, our analyst, we realized that in all the conversations we've had, we work with Amazon Web Services, we work with the University of Texas, Austin, the president's office, we've worked with incredible individuals. We haven't been able to quantify a personal brand. Quantify your authenticity, your credibility, and your trust online. And it had us thinking, what would it be like to have a standardization around trust in a time when there is no trust?
Yeah.
And 70% of people do not trust government leaders or business leaders right now.
I think that you were the first person I ever heard use that. In the lunch and learn that I was at, you used the word trust recession.
Yes.
And it really resonated with me. It was something that I'd been feeling for a while, but I hadn't been able to put words to really what that meant. And then when I heard it, I was like, that's it. We are in a trust recession. I remember that from your lunch and learn. It definitely struck with me. Where do you think that, like, how do we get here? How do we get to this trust recession in businesses? Like, what are businesses currently doing where they should take a self-audit of themselves, or leaders in general, not just business owners, leaders? What kind of self-audit can they do to say, am I creating more of this trust recession? And how do I get out of it?
Yeah. Well, you can go to humanized.ai. We just launched our product, our platform for specifically that, and it's YOUmanize.ai. What happens is we created 7 trust signals based off of psychology and behavioral psychology and market research. Things like authenticity, emotional resonance, social proof, transparency, things that we know build trust. And you could see how you, Ashley, based off of observable public signals online, how you're showing up and what to do about it.
Oh, wow. That's intriguing.
Very intriguing. Now.
And probably humbling.
Yeah, because so how do I know, what are the things that happen? Well, social media, digital marketing, all of these things that have been happening over the last 20 plus years have shifted the game. So all of that has brought everything online, everyone's communicating, and then we had COVID. And what COVID did was basically move everybody home and made now interviewing, every form of marketing, events, everything online. So we then did this giant acceleration into sales online. But what that did was flood the market and made people start to realize, I'm getting ads. I don't want to buy things all the time.
Yeah.
And we also have politics and 24/7 news.
You're just inundated with everything.
Inundated. And it's hard to know. It's just hard to know.
This is interesting, the trust recession, because it covers a lot of different topics. I do want to get into this a little bit deeper with you. We do need to take a break. I also want to throw out the number. You've been listening to Rachel for a little bit. If you've got questions and you want to ask, we'd love to have you join us here on the show. 512-836-0590. This is A Seat at the Table.
Everyone wants a seat. Few know what it takes to earn one. The long road, the hard lessons, the moments that define real leadership. That's what we talk about here. You're listening to A Seat at the Table.
And I'm Melinda Brandt alongside Ashley Stroud and Rachel B. Lee. We were talking about the trust recession and how it impacts, all aspects of our lives, but mostly business is where you come in on that. And I'm just curious, when you are working with a business that's been established for some time, how do they take that input, especially the trust part of it, and say, okay, maybe we need to talk about your business in a little bit of a different way to where the consumer or the viewer, the listener, whoever it is you're trying to reach, sees that and they're not automatically distrusting?
Well, it's loaded. You know what I mean? Every business is obviously different, yet so similar.
Yeah.
I think in my observation is, and this is coming from somebody who's done big corporate marketing and branding, is that most businesses are really focused on the company brand. They're focused on that as well. And from a marketing standpoint, meaning let me put out Humanize ads, let me, get as much awareness through ads or maybe it's emails, right? Sort of these like traditional ways. The other side that they're and this is where marketers are getting squeezed right now, is the ROI. This has been happening for the last several years with everything digital. It's, okay, great, now we're paying for this traffic. What is the actual conversions and what's the ROI on that? The reality is the systems and data is getting smarter, but we can't always backtrack the spend on radio, let's say, into direct conversions, right? Some things we do for brand building because we know they create traffic, advocacy, long-term value, but it takes time. It takes time. And what else takes time? Building trust.
Ah,
Yes.
there you go.
I mean, right? The days of, oh, so-and-so, therefore I'm going to trust you, that's done. That's just not there. There are many people part of purchasing decisions now, and there are many hidden buyers in the decision-making process. So that means as a company, brand, we have to always be on, and we have to really be thinking about who are the influential people in making that purchase decision. And how do I build trust with them? Trust is not built by talking about ourselves the whole time, is it?
No.
If you go on your first date and the guy just wants to talk about himself and he doesn't ask you about...
There's no second date.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nothing's better when they're listening, they're curious, right? Maybe they find a story that relates to you. That's what we have to do as a business. And so one of the things we talk a lot, have been talking about for a long time, is human-centered storytelling. Whether you're showcasing the customers and their experience of you and your product, you're showcasing the people behind the business. So I know with your plumbing business that has so many amazing people, wouldn't it be nice to know a little bit more about the person that's showing up to my door when I have 3 kids at home, when we know we're in a trust recession?
Right. Absolutely. That's like how you leverage, at least in my experience, leveraging social media in that way is the most effective way. Because I feel like if you follow Plumbing Outfitters, you may not even know that we're a plumbing company. We don't do a lot of. No one wants to know how to, like, that we fixed a water line or that we replaced a water heater, right? They want to know the people behind the story and how successful did that solve the customer's problems, right? But I think that's just literally how you turn something from transactional into relational.
Exactly.
And the more that we have businesses and leaders leaning in to building relationships, making connections, and not looking as customers as a dollar sign, but as a lifelong relationship to be built and to be nurtured, that's where, like, we all start winning, right? That's where businesses start thriving, communities thrive from that. I think that's where it's at.
Well, I'm curious because at least in your business, Ashley, Plumbing Outfitters, you're entering into people's homes. So I can see a tremendous value in saying, oh, well, I may get Josh or I may get so-and-so. I've seen them. You feel more comfortable. How does that translate to a business that maybe isn't entering into a home?
Well, even if you're not physically entering into a home, we're all entering into this home in our brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's like your space, right? Who are you inviting into your ecosystem of who you are? Yeah, I think so.
And our brain space is really flooded right now, right? The reason why we're seeing more ads is because we are now numb to it, right? I mean, by the way, if you're not, Meta, Google, these are advertising platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Like and now ChatGPT, all of it is it's scary, yes, and also it's taking up a lot of brain space.
I heard something the other day. It said if you're on a free platform, you are the product.
Yes, that's what the movie The Social Dilemma. Yes,
yeah.
And so I think like the question around like, well, how do we as a company really think about building trust, right? Like what it means is it's a long-term play. You have to be clear on your specific audience. So most people get that wrong, by the way. Whether you're digital, business, professional services, I mean, they're not actually focused on their target customer and they don't know it, really, really know it. So you have to be super focused, more specific, the better. And you cannot do short-term solutions like buying traffic, spamming them on email. Think about all the ways with digital marketing. None of that's going to work. And we all know that one bad review, one bad experience will completely ruin 10 great experiences.
Mm-hmm. So I have to tell you this because one other thing I learned from you is your LinkedIn, like when you're making a LinkedIn connection with somebody, always, and you taught us this, like you never send a LinkedIn message not unpersonalized.
Yeah.
She actually walked everybody in the classroom through how to send it. And now whenever I do accidentally by happenstance or by just, because I've always done it that way, I send it, I think of you. And I'm like, Rachel would be so disappointed in me right now because I didn't put a message on that LinkedIn request. So, but yeah, it's like that.
Well,
like,
and that stands out though, right? Because all of us are used to on LinkedIn getting those blank requests. And how do you decipher if you want to connect with that person? You look at the common connections, you see, you're then scoping out their profile, which brings up a whole thing on having a great profile. But these are all moments that we have to build trust, whether it's super consciously with somebody, you're in the room, you're shaking a hand, or most of the time it's subconsciously, it's all these brand moments that people are experiencing you when you don't even realize it.
So to me, it sounds like, especially with the personal message, authenticity really stands out. In a world where so many things are fake, the more you can be, the better off for you and your business.
Yes. And I think that there's more to it because I remember us talking a lot about authenticity a couple years ago, and then everybody said, be authentic. And then you know what it did? Made everybody inauthentic.
Yeah.
Because they were thinking about it too hard.
They were trying to be authentic.
How do I be really me?
Yeah, I got to be me. Let me go, show me with my kids, selfie, right? And it's like we've overproduced that because this is what happens in our society.
Like just huge pendulum swings.
Yeah. And so what I like to think about with our clients and with the people I speak to is vulnerability. And authenticity comes from vulnerability. Trust is built through lived and shared experiences. Not every single person is going to get me. I don't want them to get me or like me. That's not what this is about. That's not what great branding, especially in our world, to be differentiated, you have got to be pissing some people off. You've got to be polarizing. You can't be vanilla, as Sally Hogg said. Just those days are over. So authenticity is very different for every single person. I am fortunate that now I'm not working for somebody else and I own my own brand. I get to decide how far I want to press the edge. That's different for every person. But the more I press it and I know what my edge is, the more my audience grows, the more clients keep coming.
And so that's the encouragement to keep going.
Yes.
Real quickly, before we get into the break and we start our final segment, I did say at the beginning I wanted to know the difference between a co-founder and a co-owner.
Okay, I looked at the time this time.
You got it. You got it.
So when you're founding a business, it's lit to me. It's you've come up with that idea and you've created the LLC or the S Corp. You filed the papers. You've gotten the EIN number. And I know that's like little things.
Logistics.
But to me, that is really coming up with an idea and saying, I'm creating a business around this. There's a lot of people that they're founders of business, but they don't know how to run it. And they certainly don't want to own it. They have a great idea, but then they say, I'm going to bring in an owner for this, right? They're going to be the owner of the operations team, etc. So there's a big difference. And also not everybody's a great founder. Not everybody's a great owner, right? And what the best entrepreneurs and people that are creators is you actually know what you're good at.
Yes. And then just lean into
your
your genius.
Exactly. And hire the people
that fill in the spots,
Yes.
fill in the vacancies there. All right, you're listening to A Seat at the Table with Rachel B. Lee. We're going to get into our final segment. We've got a quick round questions that will be coming up. You still have a little bit of time. If you want to ask a question, give us a call, 512-836-0590.
A seat at the table is never given. It's claimed through endurance, sacrifice, and resolve. This is where the stories behind real leadership are told. This is A Seat at the Table.
And we have pulled up a chair with Rachel B. Lee, co-founder of Humanize, co-owner of Standout Authority. And in the break, we were just talking about some different stats. And I had heard recently that the Austin area is one of the highest places that have businesses that are owned by women. Here I am sitting down with two beautiful women that own their business. I'm just curious, especially coming from, Ashley, you were in nursing, you came from the corporate world. Has that played a role in trying to find your own path or build your own companies?
Go ahead, Rachel.
I mean, 100%. You know, there's a lot of reasons I think that women go into entrepreneurship. Very different for every single woman. I'm not speaking for all women, right? But there is also a growth in women-owned businesses. 40% of the U.S., that's the highest it's ever been. Why is that happening, right? Simultaneously, you hear layoffs are happening, burnouts at the highest, mental health on the rise. Women are usually the primary caregivers. Childcare costs are astronomical. So what happens is most women, and this is what happened during COVID, many women decided to stay home instead of, and had to stop their job, which then put them further behind. But entrepreneurship and owning your own business gives you that flexibility, right? We can go pick up the kids
Right.
at 4 p.m. If I need I usually do my workout 9 to after I get Ava to school, 9 a.m. Like I could never do something like that when I was working for another company. It just wasn't possible. So I think there's a lot of things at play. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think the autonomy, the liberty, the freedoms that come with it, and then just being, it's like you're in control, right, of like your own destiny. At the end, you wake up in the morning and you're like, whatever outcomes I have today are like within me, right? Like I control the kind of day I'm going to have. And I know you can do that when you're as an employee too, but I do think entrepreneurship gives you a unique position to challenge yourself in ways that you wouldn't always have been given that opportunity to stretch yourself and challenge yourself. That's why I was always called to it. I think it seemed like this adventure that was calling to me that I needed to jump in, right? Like what's out there that I don't know about yet, and where am I willing to stretch myself and let myself grow into areas? And I think that was an exciting, call to me. So,
well, and I would think that it kind of changes your focus on what success looks like. When you started your career, whatever it was that you began with, I would imagine that success was one picture. As you have grown, aged, evolved, success surely has moved, especially if you've left a career and started your own. So what does it mean to you now as compared to when you were starting out?
My gosh, success was, I'm going to be CMO. I'm going to be making, $500,000, right? Get that paycheck. I'm going to be, working with the executive team at a big company. And I was on that path and then realized that still wasn't fulfillment. And I think with age, and I know I'm not very old, but you start to realize that fulfillment and purpose is so more powerful and so much more meaningful in the short amount of time that we have on the planet. And I want to use the the lovely skills and powers that God gave me to help in whatever way that means for me. Nobody else gets to decide that. And then when if you decide to have a family, it really changes. It's just, I think this is one of the hardest things for women. We can't just have we put the family to the side and we put our work to the side. That's really hard for most women to do because we love all. Mm-hmm. We care about it all. Like the work, my birthing Humanize was birthing Ava. Like,
yeah,
this is all part of.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that Ryder, our third child, I'm like, he was actually kind of our fourth because we birthed Plumbing Outfitters in between.
Yes.
Right before he was born. So it does. You do just get called to want to be the best for both worlds, right? And it does. It can take its toll though if you're not careful.
100%.
Well, and with that in mind, what impact do you want to have your work part of this have long term?
Yeah, we're talking about some of the stats, both good to see growth for women and also at the same time feels like not enough. And for me, having Skylar, who's 14, Ava, who's 2.5, I want them to not just have the capabilities and the learning and the opportunities I have today, but much more. And we're in a time that things are really shifting beneath us. And I feel like as a female business owner, I have the most ability to drive the change that I want to see, which is more women having a seat at the table, more women leading companies, more women on stages. I don't want to see panels where there's not a woman. I don't want any of that. I want women to not feel the burdens, right, of what it is to have a career and also a family and make that choice without having to sacrifice their entire body and will. And those are things that that's what drives me. That if I can make it better. And when people, I love, what would Rachel say about that LinkedIn connection? That's what it's about. Every day, it's not about the followers. It's not about that. If one person can feel like, Rachel, she affected me.
Lives inside my head.
Yeah. It's the little angel on my shoulder telling me what to do.
But it's just, and the real thing is like, how am I putting myself out there, right? That's like the little reminder. How am I affecting somebody today? Then that feels really worth it all to me.
So what's next? You've got these two companies. Are there more companies on the horizon? Is it building both of these? What's next for Rachel?
Yeah, we're really excited about Humanize. We're raising capital for that. We're looking, hopefully, many people today are coming onto the platform and checking it out. Our mission is to humanize how businesses go to market, to build trust back into the way we position our companies, our brands, and our people. Let the people be powerful inside the company. Let them drive the marketing. Let them feel authentic and that they have a say in the growth. And now that we can measure it, the opportunities are really endless. And our family is really important. We've had some hard times. Mental health is really important to me for kids, for teens. That's something I know in my future, how I can give back and support our youth because they are struggling right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They really are. So that will be a big piece of Humanize and how we give back.
That's awesome.
Well, and that's interesting because I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but it's almost like those are two competing things.
Yeah.
You've got a business that is online, but also we know it is the online traffic that is really impacting the young people. How do you equalize those?
I think equalizing is going to be a challenge, right? I think what we get to do is create transparency. We try to create objectivity in what we're viewing. Let people know, give people the information that is unbiased, that's bring forth all the voices, all the opinions in a way that's objective and quantifiable to help break through, and we do that the best that we can, AI is not going away. Online's not going away. Like, we can't have that conversation. That's not, now it's, what does it mean as we're equipped with the most powerful tool at the fastest pace of change ever? What are we going to do about it as humanity? And how do we come together and make this powerful and loving and valuable for all of us?
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
It's like we're moving out of this information era and into like an intelligence era. But the intelligence is not just information. It's like, how do we intelligently connect with others? Right? How do we, where's the, like, are we all aware of emotional intelligence and how that means that we connect with our youth and we connect to customers and we connect to partnerships and conversations like this, right? But yeah, moving out of information era and into like an intelligence era, but specifically, I feel like an emotional intelligence era.
Well, and how do we take that intelligence to empower people to make smarter decisions, value-driven decisions, not ones based on hate, not ones based off of driving traffic or spamming or all of these bad things, because that's what we all have to play a part in helping, and this is our way.
Like virtuous pursuit of success.
Yes. Yeah. Imperfect, but a pursuit.
Yeah.
Well, let's move into the rapid fire question.
This is my favorite part of the segment.
We're gonna start pretty easy, and then it may take more than just a one word answer. But I know you've got this, so I'm gonna start with, again, easy: clout or connection?
Connection.
Visibility or credibility?
Credibility.
Confidence comes from fill in the blank.
Experience.
One fear you had to outgrow.
Raising money, building a technology platform. I'm in this right now. I'm in the fear right now.
So we're working on outgrowing that.
We're in it, yes.
Okay. One thing to absolutely stop doing on online.
Absolutely stop doing online?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. AI slop.
What does that mean?
M dashes and everything. Just short hook sentences. Everything impersonal. Oh, God, all of that. Everything needs to be personalized, authentic, coming from true experience.
One word that defines your brand.
Authentic? I know that's kind of...
I was going to say human.
Human, yes.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Human.
And finally, what does a seat at the table mean for you?
It means opportunity. It means giving back. It means impact. And it means progress.
All right, Rachel, we are so glad that you pulled up a chair with us today. Thank you so much. If you've been listening and you're thinking about your next step, whether that's building your brand, finding your voice, stepping into something bigger, just remember it all starts with showing up. You can keep this conversation going by following us on all the social media platforms in a very positive way. And listen to the podcast wherever you stream. I'm Melinda Brandt alongside Ashley Stroud and Rachel Lee. This has been A Seat at the Table. We'll see you next month.